Welcome to Opposition Territory here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest-running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world, over 12 and a half years strong. We got a great discussion coming your way on Opposition Territory this week. Not getting into one particular team as we usually do here on Opposition Territory, but we're going to be taking a look at storylines in an entire league, and that league being the NBA. It has been a very interesting season. A lot of interesting storylines for us to dive into here on Opposition Territory. We have one of our very good friends. He is host of the Dime NBA podcast, the WTF live game show, and internet TV host for Fantasy Smack Talk. We've got our good friend Josh Rodriguez. My friend, you've got a lot of stuff going on. I know the
yeah, man.
brother.
It's always been a lot of stuff. I mean, I've been an internet TV host for about a decade now, so
Yeah.
you get random gigs here and there. And you just roll with it. You see what pops,
Yes.
you see what doesn't, you just go with it, man.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on, man. Always great to see you.
For sure. Nice to
Always
see you.
appreciate it. All right, look, got to get into the Sixers. I always love getting your Sixers viewpoints. And when I've been on the Dime podcast with you and, we get into the Sixers, we get into the Knicks, get into the Eastern Conference, and it's really interesting in the East right now. And I got to ask you about the Sixers. So I couldn't have imagined that this season has gone the way that it has, being a Sixers fan, because so many of us, we couldn't have cared less about this season. Initially, before that, first tip-off ever happened, got two old men with Joel Embiid, Paul George, their injuries. We knew it wasn't going to be necessarily a great watch, but then all of a sudden, the man who continues to develop year after year after year, Tyrese Maxey, becoming that much more of a superstar. VJ Edgecombe just doing some incredible things as well. And now as Sixers fans, we're looking at a backcourt that is so interesting and has so much potential for the future. And at this point in the season, this Sixers team is number 5 as of us recording this in the East. What are your thoughts on what you have seen from the Sixers thus far this season, Josh? And what you think as an outsider, objective outsider, what the outlook is for them?
All right. Well, I'm not saying this just to say this because I'm on the podcast. I think the Sixers can win the East. And
Come on.
Jeff, I'm so
Come
serious.
on.
I think if they're healthy, now there's a lot of things that have to go
Yes.
right. Of course, there are a lot of things that have to go right. If you're to ask me today, Josh, who are you picking to win the East? It's not going to be the Philadelphia 76ers.
Right.
But I do think they are in the conversation with the Detroit Pistons. I do think they're in the conversation with the New York Knicks. I actually think they're a particularly bad matchup for the New York Knicks, and I'd be petrified to play them in a 7-game series.
Interesting.
To me, the emergence of Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe has just been he's a star. This man's gonna be a perennial all-star for his career as long as he's healthy.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid looks like he's getting back into shape. He's playing better. And then, Paul George doesn't have to be the Paul George that he was in Los Angeles. He can be, your third option. He can hit the three when he's open. He can defend, the perimeter when need be. There's not too much pressure on him. And then you have players like Quentin Grimes coming off the bench. The two things I like most about the Philadelphia 76ers is their offensive guard play, and then they can flip it on you and also pressure you full court and be one of the better perimeter defensive teams in the league.
Yes.
Tyrese Maxey's a good defender for his position. VJ's good. He's just getting started. He's a rookie. Quentin Grimes, when he was on the Knicks, Thibodeau used to put him on the best player on the opposite team when he started. He's a fantastic point of attack defender. Paul George is Paul George. We know how he is. I think they need a little more size. But talent-wise, I mean, in Eastern Conference, if they're healthy, their ceiling is the NBA Finals, in my opinion.
Oh,
now,
my God.
I don't know if they get there, but
Right.
for sure, definitely. I mean, I think it's Detroit, New York, and Philly.
Oh, my gosh. I need to go into the restroom for a second here and take care of some business. My gosh. Talking about Eastern Conference Finals.
Listen,
finals. My gosh.
Yeah, I know. And I like to say this too. I think a lot of people don't want to say that about the Sixers because I think the Sixers have become a franchise that people just like to hate on.
Yes.
Like they have that reputation of Philadelphia or the Sixers.
And they burn us fans. Yeah. We've been burnt how many times? Second round, you're out.
And I just think because of that reputation, because of that history, people don't want to believe in them. The fan base doesn't necessarily want to believe. But as from an outsider's perspective, watching the Sixers beat the crap out of my Knicks, I have watched the Sixers. I host an NBA podcast, so we keep up with the Sixers. We recap the Sixers game against the Raptors the other night.
Yeah.
Just seeing how just seeing the guard play, I can't stress this enough. Being able to put pressure
Yeah.
on opposing team from full court or in the half court, and they have all the answers that you need in the half court, whether it's Maxey in the pick and roll or Embiid in the pinch post or driving. They have there's no weakness in their rotation outside the fact that maybe you could use a better big than Andre Drummond or something like
Right.
that.
Exactly.
But,
Exactly.
the Bono's good off the bench too. So it's just they are deep, man, and they are a team that I think if they are healthy, now that's a huge if. We don't know
Yes.
what it's gonna look like. If
Yes.
they're healthy, it would not shock me if they're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I gotta have my co-host Eric listen to the beginning, the first like 7 minutes of this podcast to be like,
Yeah.
what do you think of Josh's assessment? Because he is our NBA guy on this podcast platform, and we actually haven't talked about it yet. On our regular show, we're gonna be talking this week about the Sixers in a lot of detail. It's gonna be. I'm gonna bring you up, and I'm gonna bring up this conversation.
I'm anxious to hear what he says because
Yes.
listen, I know how Philadelphia sports fans are. I know how,
Yes.
and the Eagles just lost this weekend, so it's doomsday in Philadelphia.
We are downtrodden. Yes, we
I have no idea how
are.
the Pirates are doing, but listen, the Sixers are good. This guy stay healthy, and Embiid specifically stay healthy.
Absolutely. Look. You're wearing a Knicks hat. You are a Knicks fan, true fan. Have been for so many years. I mean, you basically were born a Knicks fan, if I'm not mistaken, right? And
born in the Bronx, raised.
Yeah. This Knicks team, they're number 2 in the East right now, as of us recording this. And boy, it's like as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to be honest with you, just like you were with the Sixers with me. I mean, they are a fun team to watch. I do believe the Knicks are a fun team to watch. We're going to get to a topic in a little bit of how the NBA is changing in terms of what superstardom looks like and what teams need to do, how they need to be to win on the court. But they're tough. The Knicks are a tough, physical, defensively connected team, yet sometimes they're inconsistent on offense as well. And I'm wondering, does this core of this Knicks team, Josh, have a real championship ceiling, or are we seeing just a real talented group of players that needs kind of a fundamental shift to kind of get over the top? How are you assessing things here in mid-January with this Knicks team here?
I think the Knicks have the highest floor out of all the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
High ceiling. I'm sorry, not floor. High ceiling out of all the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Teams. I think that if you were to tell me an Eastern Conference team won the championship, I would play. It was probably the Knicks, because I don't think Detroit can win it all. I think Detroit can win the East, but I don't think they can win it all. We said about Philadelphia. But I do think the Knicks, as far as the ceiling's concerned, is really high. The problem I have with the Knicks is I think their floor is lower than a typical contender. Like, if you were to tell me like the Knicks got knocked out in the second round, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I see that, because they are inconsistent. So it's one of those things where you know what you're getting from certain teams, right? Like, I know what I'm getting from the Nuggets.
Right, exactly.
I know what I'm going to get from the Thunder, even though they're struggling right now. I know what I'm getting from the Thunder. You know what you're getting from certain contenders. With the Knicks, to me, it's like one game they look fantastic, and then the next game it's just like, we can't guard anybody in the perimeter. And so that's where it's kind of scary for me. We've had more injuries this year than we had last year, but I will say that this team is overall, even though the record is around the same as it was last year, I'm more confident this year. Last year, the Knicks could not beat anybody worth a damn. I mean, they lost every game in the regular season to the Celtics. They lost every game in the regular season against the Thunder. They lost every game in the regular season against the Cavaliers. They lost every game. They didn't beat the Warriors. They didn't beat the Lakers. They didn't beat any good team throughout the year. They were 1-3 against the Pistons. So going into the playoffs last year, I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation. I was like, before they played the Celtics, I'm like, I'd be surprised if they win a game.
Yeah,
I don't know how they won that series, but they did.
They did. I mean, there was a lot of perseverance too. And I think that's another underlying theme of this Knicks team, is that perseverance, I think, is what gets them to that high ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. And also they're moving the basketball more. Jalen Brunson's playing off the ball more. When they are getting into trouble, it's when they revert back to last year's habits with Jalen Brunson pounding the basketball and going one-on-one. And if they stay away from that, I think that they'll be better off for it. Also, the bench this year is way better. Jordan Clarkson's finally settled in. Tyler Kolek has been a revelation as a backup point guard. To me, I just think this is a better team than they were last year. I think they're a mentally tough team. The only questions I really have going into the playoffs is like, all right, is Jalen Brunson going to get exposed on the defensive end? Is Karl-Anthony Towns going to get exposed on the defensive end? But if they could hold their own defensively, this team could absolutely, in my mind, go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's really amazing where this Knicks team has gone over the course of the past 3 years here, and it's not just a flash in the pan, of course, and it's because of talent like Brunson that is just absolutely he's killer. He really is, man. He really is. So Dude, before we go to break, though, I want to get into some bigger picture NBA storylines with you here, Josh. I mean, we talked about the Knicks. You mentioned the Thunder, the Pistons. They're having a great year so far, especially from a record standpoint. But thinking long term, like down the road, like when we look back at this NBA season, say like 10 years from now, what do you think this season will be remembered for? What are your thoughts here?
This season's going to be remembered for the beginning of the Spurs Thunder rivalry.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That happened in the Western Conference. I think
Yeah.
that these two teams are pretty much destined to meet in the playoffs, whether it's the Western Conference Finals or semifinals or whatnot. I think they're going to be nemesis for a really long time to come. These are two teams that have been built from the ground up, got some luck in the draft as far as the lottery is concerned. They hit on their draft picks. They're young teams, young talent. The Thunder already have a championship. The Spurs, I mean, if they're healthy, I don't know how you argue that they don't win a championship eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, I think when we look back on this year specifically, it's going to be the year that Wemby went up against the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, whether they win that series or not, I don't know, but that's what it's going to be the beginning of. And then also, my prediction was that the Denver Nuggets actually end up winning the whole thing anyway. So
yeah,
if the Nuggets win, it's another notch on Nikola Jokic's belt. It's kind of where he goes from the conversation of, yeah, he's definitely one of the greatest of all time. It's like, all right, now where do we put him?
Exactly. Yes.
But a lot of it also just depends on like who wins the championship, right? So like I can guess narratives based off the predictions that I have, but until we get to the NBA Finals, we really don't know, because who knew last year that the Indiana Pacers would be one game away from winning the NBA Finals?
Yeah, exactly. Seriously, Spurs, Thunder, that rivalry. I mean, that's fun basketball. If you're a basketball fan, that's fun basketball.
They're playing right now.
I know. I know. Well, we are going to go to break here, and we're going to finish our conversation after the break so that we can actually finish the rest of that game and finish watching it as well. But again, you got to listen to The Dime. Great NBA podcast, folks. Get out there, search it. He's the host. He is fantastic. Josh, tell us where folks can find you on the interwebs if they want to connect with you.
Yeah, I'm everywhere at Josh_Rodriguez_. Follow The Dime everywhere at The Dime NBA. Those are our social handles. And then our YouTube page is The Dime with Josh and Quab. Quab and I, we do nightly reactions to the biggest games of the night. We do power rankings every Friday. We do we call it the Dime Bag, but it's a mailbag segment where we take the best comments throughout the week and we respond to them. We want to go live. We want to do other things with the channel as well. We're just continuing to grow. So yeah, make sure you subscribe.
Awesome. And if you are watching us on YouTube, folks, like and subscribe. Also, you can hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. You can find us on various social sites as well. We are over on Instagram, Twitter/X. Not too sure how long I'm going to be over there anymore, quite frankly. Over on TikTok at Mr. Jeff Warren. Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky. You can search out the Philadelphia Sports Table. We'd love it if you'd follow us. So we're going to take a break now. When we get back, we got more NBA talk coming your way. All right, we are back with our good friend Josh Rodriguez from the Dime NBA podcast. Great podcast that really has been blowing up as of late. Always good talking with him about NBA themes, the Eastern Conference. But as we're moving along with this conversation here, nothing lasts forever in basketball, Josh. And there are always teams that are in that building mode.
Yeah.
We've seen it with both of our teams. Sixers have been in what seems like a forever building mode. the Knicks have certainly been there as well. We see it time and time again. And I think we can even look at perhaps the Detroit Pistons, what they've done over the past few years as one of those building teams. So I'm wondering which organization do you think is actually quietly building something special here in the NBA that really isn't getting enough attention at this point in time?
Utah Jazz.
Keontae
George is turning into a star. I think Ace Bailey is going to be a very serviceable basketball player. I don't know what they plan on doing with Lauri Markkanen. He's been discussed in trade talks, especially to Golden State, for the past 3 years. He's like, all right, guys, just make out already. Just do it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what they plan on doing with him, but Danny Ainge is going to get the draft capital. He's going to get the cap space. I know that Quab has this conspiracy that AG Debasta from BYU, went to BYU, and then Utah is going to try to find a way to get him. So,
I love the conspiracy theory stuff.
That's Quab's conspiracy. I don't know how they're going to get him right now.
Right.
They have to slide a little bit in the lottery to get him, but they're going to get a top tier draft pick next year. I think they're quietly putting together a team that, eventually, like kind of like with the Spurs. The Spurs kind of were treading water for a little bit last year. There were a few games below 500. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you're contenders. Like, how
Yeah.
that happened? When that happened? and also the Spurs are also good without Wembanyama too. So it's not 100% just Wemby.
Right.
Walker Kessler, who they think they're going to start. They'll probably trade Kessler for some picks and draft capital. They have a really Walter Clayton. That's another person. Walter Clayton, who's he's a gamer. He's a winner who I think could be a backup guard in a contending team.
Yeah.
They're just slowly, quietly building a team that I think can contend later down the road. Just no one talks about them because they're in Utah.
I love it. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking about here in terms of an organization, a team that is really quietly building something here. I'd love to hear from you again. Leave a comment here on YouTube. And if you're listening to us on whatever podcast platform you're on, PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. We'd love to read your email here on the show and respond to it. And as we're moving along here too, I've been thinking a lot about various teams and their culture. Some teams have pretty damn good culture.
Yeah.
Other teams really do not. Players, coaches, and front offices are always being tested in some capacity. Some do a better job at moving out in front of whatever roadblocks may be in front of them. Others are just stagnant in the NBA as well, whether it's overcoming injuries. There's team chemistry issues at times. Who's going to be the next man up after an injury or so. So, Josh, what team's culture do you think is really being tested the most this season, and why here?
Well, being tested the most, I'll give you one that's passing and one that's failing.
Okay.
A team that's passing right now is the Boston Celtics. I hate it. You hate it. We hate it.
Yeah.
Listening to the show hates it. We can all hate Boston together.
Yep.
But they lost in 6 last year to the New York Knicks. They lost Jason Tatum. This was going to be a gap year. This was supposed to be a year where the Celtics just kind of like coast, see what they have. Maybe trade Anthony Simons at the deadline for something. Maybe see if you want to keep him. Hold some tryouts for some people you don't know if you want to keep. Porzingis is gone. Horford's gone. Just a different. And now all of a sudden they're third in the East, a half game behind the Knicks, and people are talking as if they could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, I don't think they're a contender at all. Right now there are only 3 teams in the East that I think can come out of the East, and that's the Knicks, Pistons, and Sixers. But just the fact that they're third and right now projected to go to the second round is insane. It's crazy, and it just goes to show you, that the foundation, in that organization's there. You lose a bunch of players, you lose your best player, you lose your important big men, yet Jaylen Brown comes out, he's having an MVP type season, and everybody, Hugo Gonzalez, rookie, steps up. Jordan Walsh, who hasn't really got playing time throughout his career, steps up. That's culture. And so they're passing with flying colors. A team that is being tested and is losing and is failing right now is the Cleveland Cavaliers. What happened to you?
Yes.
Cleveland, what is going on with you?
Yes.
You need to talk. You were supposed to be better than this. I thought you were better than this. You had one of the better regular seasons of all time in your franchise last year. Lost in the playoffs to the Indiana Pacers. I know y'all are hurt. This year going into it, you're hearing talks right now. Even today, I was reading something about DeAndre Hunter not wanting to be in Cleveland at all.
I know. How about that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Darius Garland's constantly trading block. Jared Allen has lost favor with the fans. Donovan Mitchell is having a great year. He's the only thing that seems to be going right with them.
Yeah.
But you bring in Lonzo Ball. He's been a failure as far as an acquisition. I thought he'd be great. He wasn't. They don't play with the same type of energy. They're not moving the basketball like they used to. They look like a completely different team half the time now. They've been playing better, but very disappointed with Cleveland and how they've handled adversity so far.
There's no chip on their shoulder at all.
Right. It's
no
like,
chip on their shoulder.
Guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, buddy, before I let you go here, we like to talk on this podcast platform every now and again about how various leagues, whether it's the NFL or whether it's the NHL, even the NBA here, how times change and different eras produce different types of play with a particular sport. It's interesting how we're just seeing more and more teams in the NBA using that more deep, the more deeper and more balanced roster to see success in the NBA. And it seems like the big 3 model really has been in decline. I think it's safe to say that for sure.
I hated that era.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we at that tipping point now with the NBA where we're now out of that big 3 model era and now into the next era, basically the dynamic duo? We're seeing it with the Sixers.
Mm-hmm.
That more balanced roster here. Are we really at that tipping point right now? What are your thoughts here?
100%. And I would even argue that you don't even need a duo.
Yeah.
The Pacers last year with Halliburton, maybe you can consider him and Siakam a duo, but it was just more like a machine. The Thunder have SGA, they're more like a machine. You need that. You need that star. Don't get me wrong. Like, you absolutely need that star. But to me, it's just kind of how many players can you put on the court who could defend the perimeter? And that includes big guys, defend the perimeter. Can you switch? Can you hit the three ball when you're open? That's really all it is. It's like, can you get 8 to 10 guys who can defend and hit the three? Because the more guys you can put out there who can do that and change the game and hit the three ball when they're open, the better your teams are. I mean, we look at the teams that are great right now, it's pretty much teams that can hit the three and defend the perimeter. And that's why I like the Sixers so much, because they have all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've completely moved past a big three era. And I think we moved into an era where being in deep matters, having a bench matters, because coaches want to play. You have to play your bench now because of the way the game is played. You're not guarding just the paint anymore. It's not the night. You're guarding like literally from 35, 40 feet out, sometimes full court.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need more players. You do need that star, but it's more important to have the 3-and-D types and the lockdown defenders like an Alex Caruso.
Yes,
players like that.
Absolutely, boy. Great way to end it. Again, folks, Josh Rodriguez from the Dime NBA podcast. I listen on Apple Podcasts. Listen on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. Search them out. Subscribe. You're also on YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube is where we're mainly at now.
Okay.
So like if you can subscribe on YouTube, that'd be perfect. I mean, we're building an audience there. We have a couple fans who comment on all of our videos. It's fun. We're having a good time over there.
It's always fun to do this. And Josh, man, it was great to see you. Great to talk basketball with you, man.
Absolutely.
Come back, join me again. I'd love to talk more NBA with you, and come back and join us in the future, man.
All right, Jeff, if we play you guys in the playoffs, I mean, no hard feelings. I might change my tone a little bit. We'll see.